Why do we have such a hard time saying no? It's because we want to protect our relationships, and that's definitely a big part of it. But we even say yes to perfect strangers. I think it has to do with keeping up appearances. We want to appear helpful or can do, but it's a trap. When we say yes too often, we tend to hurt our relationships. Not only that, but our performance suffers, so it's impossible to keep up appearances. We let everyone down, especially ourselves. This happens to all of us to a greater or lesser extent. Putting the satisfaction of other people above yours is very good, even admirable if you do it deliberately and voluntarily for the right reasons. However, it is not that great when you unconsciously and gradually stop living your life to live the others. When you are incapable of saying no the enough amount of times, you end up getting to a situation where you have too many things to do, but most of them don't have real value for you and your life. In extreme cases, this can lead up to a feeling of emptiness and a level of stress that is as high as unnecessary. It's easy to say yes when you don't have a clear vision for what's ahead of you. I see this a lot when people accept a job that doesn't further their career. Without knowing where they want to go, they stay in place, saying yes when they should be saying no. However, having a clear vision for your life is no easy feat. Some people spend their entire lives getting clear on what they want. As you attempt to do the same in less time, remember that getting what you want in life may not be related to your job. Perhaps you don't know if you want to have kids or if you want to live in the same state where you've spent your whole life. Take stock of your life. What isn't working for you? What no's will you need to say to start moving in the right direction? It's not an easy thing to do, but when you choose to say no and not go with the flow, that's when you begin to write your own story. Saying no is the best tool you have for distancing yourself from negative people or situations. Remind yourself how valuable your time is, and you're less likely to hesitate when it comes to saying no to something you really don't want to do. Saying no requires a strong sense of self, but in the end, it will reinforce your emotional well-being. The Chinese sage Chuang Tzu told the story of a man who forged swords for a Maharaja. Even at the age of 90, his work was carried out with exceptional precision and ability. No matter how rushed he was, he never made even the slightest slip. One day, the Maharaja asked the old man, "Is this a natural talent, or is there some special technique that you use to create your remarkable results?" "It is concentration on the essentials," replied the sword crafter. "I took to forging swords when I was 21 years old. I did not care about anything else. If it was not a sword, I did not look at it or pay any attention to it. Forging swords became my passion and my purpose. Seek improvement and be positive. Do not seek loathing. Be attentive to the way you talk to yourself. Intentional self-criticism is good, but don't make it a habit. Don't make yourself feel that you are good for nothing. Observe yourself and notice your feelings. Give time to your thoughts and the things that you want to achieve. If you're one from the yes man brigade, you might have already experienced people considering you a pushover and walking all over your opinions. For few, it is very difficult to disagree to others because of the fear that it might risk their relationship. Gradually, in continuous process of not saying no, their own self-respect is shaken. It leads to destruction of self-opinion spine. We have been brought up since childhood in a way that we must not be hurting even unintentionally to others. On the contrary, hurting thyself is okay. In this situation, learning to say no is crucial. It must be taught to kids after a reasonable age. It will give them a strong backbone, the strength to voice their opinions and thoughts, the courage to disagree logically. Saying no is the best tool you have for distancing yourself from negative people or situations. Remind yourself how valuable your time is, and you're less likely to hesitate when it comes to saying no to something you really don't want to do. Saying no requires a strong sense of self, but in the end, it will reinforce your emotional well-being. Some people won't take no for an answer. They'll urge you, cajole you, and come up with all kinds of creative solutions to make you say yes. These people are a challenge when you're trying to make your life a more positive, productive place. When encountering won't take no types, stand your ground and repeat your initial response. If you find yourself wavering, recall the reasons you chose to say no in the first place and consider how good you'll feel if you remain true to yourself. You'll find this fortitude carries over into other areas of your life. You are the most important person in your life, after all, and deserve to put your own feelings and needs at the center of your life. You are worth it. This can feel quite challenging, especially when your needs conflict with those of someone you care deeply about. While prioritizing your own needs over those of someone else might sound selfish, it can be a profound act of self-care and highlights the importance of saying no. The more you practice saying no and setting boundaries, the more comfortable it will become. When thinking about how to say no, a great technique is to practice with low-stakes situations, like declining something a salesperson is selling. As your comfort and confidence grow, you will be more likely to say no in higher-stakes situations. For instance, when a loved one asks you for help with something you don't feel you have the capacity to agree to. While it is a common experience to want to please the people in our lives by saying yes right away, it is important to not respond automatically. We must instead practice taking a moment to breathe and check in with ourselves to notice what we actually want. If we realize we do mean yes, then our yes is authentic and a true choice. If we really mean no, then it's wonderful to have the skills to be able to express that. Practicing some strategies to support us in saying no can shift our relationships to become more honest, authentic, and free of resentment. Every time you say no to one thing, you're saying yes to something else. No means freeing up your time and, in some cases, your emotional bandwidth to engage in other, perhaps more positive, activities. If you feel badly for turning someone down, reframe your response, offering to do something another time that you want to do. It can be tough to say no. Many of us were raised to always be nice and say yes. Learning how to decline an invitation or request without feeling guilty is an essential aspect of living a happy life. The more you master the art of saying no when necessary, the easier it becomes to fill your life with activities and people who bring you true happiness. If you find yourself defaulting to yes more than you'd like, or you struggle with sticking to no once you've said it, remind yourself of the positive power of no. You have great potential in you. You must be convinced of that. To achieve great things, you only need a few adjustments. Among these adjustments, the most important is to say no to the things I have just described. By better selecting your priorities and goals, then by remaining consistent in your efforts without seeking perfection that does not exist, you will already be headed in the right direction to boost your life. From these bases, procrastination will become a distant memory, and you will be able to take action without fear of failure because you will be your biggest supporter instead of your worst judge.